All right, so we're in a Carrera GT.
Amazing.
Because we can.
Because we can.
So the conditions haven't lined up for us, but we're gonna work with it. This would be probably even better discussion to talk about car control, how to drive in a mountain or on mountain roads, which is very different than driving on the track.
Yes.
Right, it's a very different experience, a very different enter-exit, different braking. Of course, we have a golden rule here in the mountains. We don't cross over double yellow.
That's right.
So when you're on a track, you're going to go all the way to the left.
Like if you were making the road.
Right. If we were making this right-hand turn here, we would go all the way to the left, and we want to apex the turn. You want to come at it in a straight line, and then exit in a straight line as straight as possible. We can't do that here because we have a yellow line that keeps us really offline pretty much at all times. So what I wanted to talk about here today a little bit was how do we approach these roads. And I asked you to do this, so you're kind enough. Thanks for letting me record you do
sure,
this.
No worries.
It doesn't do me any good to do this because I'm not an expert in this kind of thing. So what's your background from an instructor perspective in track driving? And stuff
sure,
like that?
sure. I've been doing DEs for about 10 years, all different tracks, mostly on the East Coast, and probably the last 4 years now being an instructor for PCA, Porsche Club of America, for the DE events. Probably my background. Most of all my cars, for the most part, have been Porsches, with the exception of a E46 M3 back in 2004. Had that for a few years, and just made my way up to Carreras, to GT3s, to now GT3 RS.
So his GT3 RS is behind us, and we're in a Carrera GT because we can, and I thought it'd be more interesting video, but so we're gonna, Andy's never driven this car before.
No.
So we're not going, and it's raining.
Oh,
so
gosh.
We're not gonna push it.
Oh,
but
gosh.
we're gonna talk more as we get into these roads here. We're on Moonshiners 28 here in the Carolina Mountains. So we're gonna talk a little bit about, I'm gonna kind of ask you questions about how do we enter and exit, because you lead our groups a lot of times, which I find is much harder to lead than it is to follow. So how do you approach differently when you're leading? Like, how do you know what's coming? Like, because a lot of times you don't.
Right.
Most of the time you don't.
Well, like anything, even when you're on the track, it's all about preparation, right?
Yeah.
So I spend a lot of time looking at these roads ahead of time.
Okay.
So whether that's Google Maps, I watch a lot of YouTube videos of guys in cars, guys on bikes, so I get to know the road. That's the key for me, is really understanding the road.
Well, you put a little pressure on yourself because you're kind of leading us all.
Yeah, I want to give people a great experience, right? It's all about, I want to know what I'm doing and give them a great experience. And for them, they just have to follow me and enjoy the ride. Nobody has to look at a map. Nobody has to figure anything out. So just follow me. So I got to know where I'm going and know what's going to happen with the roads, etc. So it's the preparation is really the key. And then my navigator, I got to give a shout out to Mark. My navigator, he does an awesome job, helping keep things prepared. He gives me, like, you think of rally drivers when they're given call outs. Yeah. Mark has given me call outs. Like, before I was going, okay, we're going to turn in 1.9 miles. Okay, you got a sharp hairpin coming up and whatever. So he's given me these things that help me as I'm setting up for the ride.
That's a little harder to do. See, when I'm following, I'm just blindly doing my best to not, because the one thing you don't want to do is follow the bumper of the guy in front of you.
Right.
We learned that yesterday. Our buddy Garrick was leading, and another guy was following him. Garrick went off, and the other guy followed him off. I wonder, why does that happen?
Yeah, we see that in the track as well. And what happens is, think about yourself driving on a highway. It's what we do. We tend to focus on the car that's in front of us. And what we teach folks at the track and here is to look through the car. Look where you want to go. Don't look where he's going, look where you want to go. So the concept of eyes up, look ahead and look far ahead, look through the car. That's really a hard concept for a lot of people. They just get mesmerized on the bumper.
So would you say that, let's say that we were following a group here and we're coming around these turns, you can, even if you are on the bumper of the guy in front of you, your peripheral vision will keep you from running into the back of that person in front of you. So we should be eyes up in that next turn instead of eyes on the bumper in front, because you'll follow. Yeah. So I think That's something I have to remind myself over and over and over. Eyes up, look through the turn.
That's absolutely right.
Anytime I've ever been on a track and the trucker's always yelling at me, stop looking down. I'm looking at the yellow line right here instead of looking through the turn.
And we can tell by your inputs, especially your steering input, that when you're looking 10 feet in front of your car versus when you're looking down the road. Because your inputs, you're reacting to what's here versus looking ahead. And you'll be much smoother. Like if you think of your steering, your braking and whatnot, you'll be much smoother ahead. And the other thing looking ahead does is, I use the term, it slows things down for you a little bit. Because if you're looking right in front of you, all of a sudden it comes up, it's like, oh crap, now I got this turn, I have to brake. If you look ahead, it like slows it down for you because you're planning, essentially, you're planning ahead. So going through this turn, I'm looking way to the left here, like following the yellow line. And if there's cars, I may be looking ahead, especially when we're in our group, what are people's brake lights doing? You know, when are they braking? Okay, I know what's coming up. Same thing here. I'm all the way over to the right in this grass, and I'm looking all the way through.
I'm looking right here.
No,
right at the ground.
I'm all around this corner here, just following this thing all the way around. As soon as I get here, I look to the left. And I'm over there now in that left turn now going, okay, where's the road going? What are the cars doing? What's happening? That's where my eyes are. As soon as I'm here, up to the right.
Tuck your hand under here. Oh, sorry. So what's the first? Obviously, entry's first, right? So your eyes are up. That's the first thing to concentrate on instead of on the bumper or on the turn at hand. Right. So I guess that's one of my first mistakes is my eyes come down. I'm following the guy in front of me. So then what about entry? So let's come into one of these turns. So maybe downshift, get into lower gear, and as you're coming into a turn, when do you lift and when do you brake? And it's different here now because we're wet and we're in a Carrera GT that would kill us. But so we're coming up into this turn. How do you know when to brake?
Yeah, the thing with the braking and the entry, the no-when, is it's really about maintaining balance of the car. So what I'm trying to do the whole time is maintain balance of the car. If you can imagine having the equal weight on all four wheels, that's ideal. That's where you want to be.
So you're thinking about that?
Yes. And so when you go into a turn, what I'm basically doing is saying, all right, I want the front wheels to grip, right? When I go into a turn, I need the front wheels to grip. So braking now will shift the weight to the front wheel, allowing the wheel to, as I turn, the front wheels are going to grip, and then I want to slowly release the brake and transition to the gas to then, because now I'm like this when I'm braking, right, Matt? The front wheels are down. I need to get that car back flat, right? So as I come off the brakes and onto the gas, I get the car level again, so my weight distribution is more even across the car. And then I can get on the gas and go. Because if I get on the gas too quick, what happens? Rear end settles down, the front wheels go up, I'm turning the wheel, and the car is pushing because I'm not going anywhere. The exaggeration is the wheels are off the ground, right? So that's what I do. So, you go into the turn, get onto the brake, settle the front end, and then as I get into the turn, start lifting. And by the time I get to the apex, I want to be back on throttle again. By the time I come out of the turn, I'll be right to the floor. Not on here, but on a track. You'd be right on the floor.
All right, so what I tend to do, so I'll tell you what I tend to do. So we'll come around the turn here, and we'll come up into another one, and I'll explain what I normally do. So I would hammer the gas,
right,
and I would try to do all my braking in a straight line, and then I tend to release. That's a mistake.
Right, yeah, so because what's happening is you're braking and then you're releasing, so you're upsetting the balance of the car. So what's gonna happen is your car's gonna push a little bit, so you'll lose time, right? In track terms, you'll lose time because you're gonna have to wait to get back on the gas because you just totally upset the car, so it's gonna push a little bit, so you're gonna wait a little bit, because when you get to the gas, you're gonna come light. So what I would suggest to you is brake hard, that's good, get that front end, and then slowly release the brake, like you'll hear trail braking, slowly release the brake while I go to the throttle and smoothly build the throttle. You maintain the balance of the car, and you'll actually go faster. Because right now, you're waiting. When you say, hey, I brake, and I come off and I go right to the gas, but then when you go to the gas, you probably have some whatever moments, and so you wait to get on the gas hard again.
See, I'll come in, so I'll come into this turn, so I'm on and on and on it. I'll lift early, and then I'll brake really hard, and then I'll release the brakes, but then I'll come into the turn. I don't throttle until later on. So there's this gap there where where I'm missing, where I'm not doing anything, I'm trying to steer.
Right, and on the roads like this, that's not a horrible thing compared to being on a track. On the track, you never want to quote coast, right? You don't want to lift and wait, and then brake and wait. You know, it's either I'm on the brake or I'm on the gas. It's one or the other. There's none of this lift and wait. These roads, it's a little different. The technique's a little bit different.
All right, so show me on our next turn, come into it, and show me how you would enter and exit. So how do we enter? So this next turn
so
here.
I would come down here. I'm going to brake just to settle the nose down.
Yep.
As I get into the turn, I'm going to roll to the gas, and then I'm going to be on the gas as I get out of that turn.
So you want to be on the gas before the apex or after?
By the time I get to the apex, I'm back to the throttle, but I'm building it. It's not an on-off switch. It's
yeah. See, I struggle with that so much.
It's not an on-off switch.
I struggle with that. I'm doing all my braking, then I'm doing nothing,
right,
and then I'm on the gas. But I'm usually on the gas well past the apex.
Yeah.
That's the big difference. But I can feel how much more settled the car feels as you're doing this.
Yeah.
Now it's also different because we're within the yellow lines, right? I mean.
Yeah. So you brought up the point earlier. Like on a track, you use the whole road, right? I want to get way over to the left,
right,
set up a nice angle, because ideally you want to straighten out the turn, especially on the exit of the turn, especially leading onto a straightaway. Like on most tracks, the most important turn on the track is the turn leading to the longest straightaway, because you want to maximize your speed on that longest straightaway. So you want to use that track, and you're essentially trying to straighten out the turn. On these mountain roads, right, we can't use the whole road, right? And we preach, stay in your lane. Right. So now I just have to, in my mind, I have to say, that's the width of the track now. So I'll use as much of this lane as I can, but I have to say in my head, this is the width of my track. So how do I manage this knowing that this is the width of my track? I wish we could go a little quicker, but it's, to really show you the concept here.
So, coming in.
Yep, coming down here, right?
So you'd be on throttle, brake.
Brake it. I brake a little
but you're still braking.
And then I'm off to the brake, and then I'm on to the gas. Like, here's no way. Brake. Let it roll in, then move on to the gas. Here I'll build, because this is a long sweeper, and then you're back on the gas. Roads are a little wet, so it's brake, nice smooth release, and then when you drive with the Pro, did you ride with the guys at PEC the other day?
No, but I have ridden with a Pro before, yeah.
You never know when they go from the brake to the gas. It's so smooth, right? And what they're doing is that concept of they want to maintain that balance of the car. Because if I have that car balanced, there is so much speed to be had. But if I'm waiting, because now I'm pushing, my front end is too light, I gotta wait, I went on the gas too hard, or I got on the brake too late, they're upsetting the balance of the car, and they're losing, especially on the track, you're losing a lot of time.
Well, I find that let's say I did brake reasonably well, and then I get in a turn, I come in a little hot with the acceleration, and then I brake in the middle of the turn, the car is all unbalanced and unsettled.
Well, think about what you're doing now. So you're going, especially in our cars, right? When you think of a 911 or whatnot. So you're braking, and you're into that turn, you're braking, so now that weight is on the wheels, right? Yeah. And then think what's happened to our rear ends, they're kind of getting a little loose because there's so much weight forward, right?
Yeah.
So by releasing that brake, a smooth release, it's not an on-off, right?
Yeah.
Smooth release, I'm settling that rear end down gently, then I build on the gas. And our cars, man, on the exit, oh man, you could just be on it because they'll just set down and they'll just go.
See, that's something I can't commit to. That's when you guys leave me, and then I'm always trying to catch up because I'm losing so much time in a turn.
Yeah, and then just back and smooth on.
I have a hard time with this part.
Yeah.
That smooth, stay in it, because I'm wanting to get through the turn before I come onto acceleration.
So what you just have to do is on that braking, I would just suggest, and it's a trail brake. So think of a smooth release and then to the pedal. So as one is coming off, the other one is going on, right?
So I'm like ABSing into the turn.
And that's
then
okay
off.
sometimes. Yeah, but don't pop it off, right? Just come off it, yeah, nice and easy as you then build the throttle. By the time you get to the middle of the apex, you should be back on the gas for sure. And by the time you come out of the exit, like you would just be all the way down to the floor.
And I think that's probably a beginner's concept in that when you go to the track for the first time, they want you to brake really, really, really hard, almost not to a stop, but concentrate on braking as hard as possible. And then quick hands.
Want to go to the basin of the dam? Or the dam? This is the top, this would be the basin.
I don't care, whatever you think. So now the wet changes everything.
Yeah, so here's where when I say about smooth inputs, like smooth with the brake and the gas, that's where it comes in and really helps with the rain, because this popping on and off in the rain, that's really going to upset your car. And so when we teach the students about being smooth with the brakes, smooth with the gas, and then smooth with your hands, right? This jerking motion on the steering wheel. So then when they get into the rain, they're like, okay, if you're smooth, you'll end up being quicker. You maintain the balance of the car. I mean, it's
You know,
there's not a ton of difference, like driving in the rain, right? There's adjusting your speed. On the track, you would drive what they say offline, and offline means just basically drive where you don't when it's dry, because there's a lot of rubber buildup and the track is slippery. So that's what, offline, because all you're trying to do in the rain is find grip. So on the track, you want to get that car because I'm looking for grip. The road, you don't have much of a choice, right? I got to stay in my lane, so it's not like I'm going to find grip in the rain. But the smoothness with your gas and your brake, and then your hands on the wheel are going to be key in the rain.
So here's an example. We're following behind someone. Let's assume we were going, 60, not 25. You don't want to look at the bumper.
I'm around the bend. My eyes are around the bend.
Some people would say, well, aren't you going to run into the back of the car?
Nope.
I mean, your mind, your brain and peripheral.
You hit it perfectly before. Your peripheral on the track. I mean, I'm flying through a turn around the track. My eyes are all the way around. The guy could be, 10 feet off my nose.
But what if he brakes hard and you weren't expecting it? You'll see it.
You'll see it. My experience, I catch it. I mean, I'm not on the guy's butt, right? But you catch it.
Now, what about shifting in a manual on roads like this? So, are you better off finding a gear and just kind of sitting there? I mean, obviously heel toe, you want to heel toe and to keep the car settled. That's the whole point of rev matching, right?
Yes,
to keep the car settled.
Absolutely perfect. You got it. Yep. So shifting, the thing of it is, like, the idea of shifting to a lower gear on the track is to set yourself up for the power you need on the exit of the turn. Like, some guys will come down and they'll come into like a fast turn and they'll downshift because maybe it's kind of cool. But if it's a really quick turn, it's like, well, why are you downshifting? Well, I'm gonna. Well, you really don't need to. So the intent is get into that lower gear, so I'm staying in that torque band, if you will. So as I come out of that turn, I get to the gas, I can go, but not necessarily using it to say, quote, slow down. That's what the brakes are there for. I'm using it to. I'm in the right gear, so I have the right amount of torque when I come out of that turn.
All right, so through this section here, talk us through.
Yeah, so if I were to downshift here, is just get set it up so when I come out of that turn, I can get on it. My eyes are all the way up to that bend. I'm in that turn. And I'm saying, okay, where am I going to brake? Okay, here. I'm trying to figure out how sharp is this turn now. Okay, not too bad. So I'm going to coast through. The radius is changing, and then get back to the gas. Here, all the way to the right. I'm in the grass over there is where my eyes are. Now I'm all the way through the bend, all the way through. See, now this isn't good here. I was a little braking late because I didn't read the radius of the turn. Go down here, just want to keep driving. Yeah. You don't need to do the basin, do we?
No.
Or do you want to show?
Let's just go up to the Dragon, and then we'll get what we need.
Yep.
This is another 5 miles or so.
Yep. So I'm all the way up to that turn. My eyes are up to that turn there.
Brake.
nice and
Slow
smooth
release
off the brake, and then build, and then once on the
Yeah,
air.
see your build. I think that's the big thing that I'm missing is that trail braking the bit, and then light. You're like light on the throttle, even right into the apex. I'm way past the apex, and then hard on the throttle to try to catch up.
Yeah, no, smooth. And you know, just think, my job is to just keep maintaining the balance of this car, because that's where all the traction is going to be. The traction is going to be when I have the best balance on the wheels. You know, managing the weight of the car.
I'm not thinking about any of that. I'm thinking about trying to keep up. by doing the keep up mentality, I'm doing what's natural,
Right.
which is to brake really, really, really hard, and then let off, and then wait, and then hard gas,
And that scrubbing
and
the speed.
jerky, yeah.
Yeah, and waiting, like you're losing a ton of time.
Yeah.
You're just losing a ton of time there.
And
waiting.
the car always feels like I'm going to slide off the side of the road.
Right.
Because I'm always on.
You have all that
two
weight.
wheels,
Think
yeah.
of that weight like this, and then you have to wait to get back to the gas because you need the rear end to settle down before you can get. Man, that guy was on. This road here, I love. Of all the roads, I mean, I like Wire Road and those other roads, but this road here, and the reason I like it is this road has some really good sight lines in some places where you can look through turns and kind of see what's coming up. It's really, it's. You want to get to some lower gears here.
Brake. Light
Nice
off the
smooth
brake.
race. Back to the gas here, and then come through here.
Yeah. Now we're getting the V10. So talk me through what you're doing here.
My eyes are all up ahead here. Coming around, looking through. Eyes are up there around that bend. Some places, if there's just a little bit of a turn, I may need to just give a little bit of brake just to get the nose down a little bit so I can get some grip into that turn. So you'll feel like a brush. I don't want to say a tap because some people misinterpret tap as going like this.
Yeah.
It's like a brush of the brake just to settle the nose a little bit into the turn. And then here you felt me lift there, I didn't want to brake, but because if you think about lifting is a form of braking because I'm on the gas. If I lift, I'm going to bring the nose down a little bit without having to brake and lose more speed. So sometimes just a little bit of a breathe on the throttle will help settle the nose a little bit. And you'll hear people talk about throttle steering and things like that is they're using the throttle to just help manage the weight a little bit without having to get onto the brakes. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So smooth. And I'm assuming you'd be even smoother in your own car.
Yeah, this one here I'm learning. Although this drives really, really nice. The brakes, I mean, the steering is telepathic. Eyes are up. Gonna settle the nose a little bit here.
I'm looking right here.
No,
Dang it.
settle in.
I'm gonna try to do that.
Yeah. Around the bend, eyes around the bend, eyes around the next bend. Settle the nose a little bit here. Come around this turn here.
So you didn't need to brake there. You just
it was
a little.
just lifted a little bit just to get the nose to settle down. This road has some nice sweepers. It has some sharp ones, but it's and the sight lines on this road are really good. But all the way over to the left, all over. What's coming up? Okay, around that bend. Okay, maybe just a little bit of a lift here. Little tap on the brake, coming around, back on. This turn here is pretty sharp, I remember. This says 10 miles an hour. I think we can probably do it faster than 10. God, the windshield wipers cut it out. So get the nose down, coming around, get onto the gas, build, build, build.
Oh, it's so smooth.
Braking, coming through. braking, looking through this turn, because this turn's pretty sharp here. Coming back around and back to the gas. And this car and in the wet, I didn't want to take any chance on that turn.
See, I see where I'm making the mistake. It's that transition. It's the transition from brake to throttle. And I'm doing it so abruptly, and then letting go of the brake, and then waiting, and then abruptly on the throttle, trying to catch back up.
Yeah, just keep thinking, I got to maintain the balance. I got to maintain balance. Coming down here, I'll probably brake a little late here. Come in, nice and easy off. Back to the gas, smooth. Little tap on the brake, settle the nose down. Back to the pedal, back to the gas. Coming around.
Gosh, this car would be unreal in the dry.
Oh God, if we were in the dry, whoa, that was a little wide. If we were in the dry right now, ay, ay, ay. And traffic.
All right, my eyes went right to his bumper. Eyes up. God dang it.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as I lose concentration, I guess you just have to force yourself for as long as you can, get your eyes up there, and just eventually it becomes muscle memory.
Yeah, when I was teaching my daughter to drive, that's what I was telling her even on the highway. Look through that car. Because, you know, like people braking on the interstate, this guy, they run into the guy in front of them. And if you're just looking at him, then you run into the back of him. But if I'm looking through his car and you're like, hey, they're stopped up there, this guy's not like stopping or whatever, you know, because if you follow him blindly, you're liable to run into the back of him.
That's interesting, because when I am on the highway, my eyes are way up. It just comes naturally. Because I'm always looking for people to stop. I want to brake beforehand.
Here. Except here you're looking at the road, right? As opposed to looking at the other cars. You're saying, what's the road doing?
That's why I have a hard time with being not so much a passenger on a road like this. I have more of a hard time being a passenger on the highway, because everybody, you know, with regular people, they're looking here and they don't see the. It's different when you're riding passenger in a Porsche, because you know we can stall. But like if you're in like an SUV or something, I always struggle with people.
Sure.
Like they're not looking ahead clearly, because I see brakes and they haven't seen brakes yet.
Yeah, that worries me too.
But I need to get that on a road like this, because I so want to just go to the bumper of the person in front of me.
Do you have highways where you are, like with big off ramps, like, you know, cloverleaf kinds of things?
Mm-hmm.
Those are great places to practice the eyes up and stuff too as you go around the bend. And like I'll find myself really looking at the side window. Like I say, I'm going through one of those really sweet. I'm not looking here. I'm like over here. Sometimes I'm out over here. I'm not going to run into the guy, but I'm looking at the road. And you'll find, you know, our body. You played sports, Matt, right? Where your eyes and your hands, they're like connected.
Yeah.
Well, it's the same thing in the car. It's the same thing when you're driving. If I'm looking ahead there, my hands are going to do on the wheel where my eyes are at.
Yeah.
As opposed to right here, they're going to go there.
I feel like I've figured out a lot of stuff.
Help?
I can just see it in your smoothness, you know, and how you're transitioning from input to output, or you know, however you say that, from throttle to brake, and that's where I'm losing a lot of, you know, when I find myself getting behind when everybody's driving a little harder in the mountains, that I'm just too aggressive on the brake and too aggressive. It's not even too aggressive on, it's too aggressive off. You know, I'm off the brakes too quickly, and then on the throttle too late and too aggressively. So if I would just get on the throttle smoother, like I noticed, you're just slightly feathering the throttle as you're entering the apex, and then you're rolling off the throttle as we're exiting. It makes more sense to me now as I'm able to see how it works.
Okay.
So,
and that smoothness, you'll get fast. One of the things we always teach at the track is people all want to go fast. I'm on a track, let's go, 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 go. Yeah. And you're like, no, how about we back it off? Yeah. Let's teach the steering, let's teach the feet and being smooth, right? Yeah. And once you're smooth, it's like the basics. If I build that foundation, then speed, the speed will come. Yeah. Now, because the last thing you want to do is have someone then learn to go faster with all the wrong kind of inputs.
Yeah.
Once they have the smooth, I know where the eyes are, I know braking and steering and whatnot. Then as I build up speed, I've got the basics down. Otherwise, you can teach people bad habits.
Awesome. Thanks, brother. Appreciate the time.
Sounds good. Thanks, Matt.